In my first book, New Manufacturing Challenge, I share the way to eliminate waste. And in there are lots of techniques, all common sense, so I understand, but packaged together so that from the beginning to the end of the process, you have a smooth flow, not much bottleneck, people involved, quality control, and utilize the best of the resources. And one of the principles is called muri muda mura. Muri, overburdening, pushing too much. Muda is waste, and mura is up and down, chaotic process, not steady. So that's one idea. The second book is talking about empowerment of people for continuous improvement. Each one in the organization is like a mini company. So they manage their own, but connect to each other so that there's a customer-supply relationship and the banker-company relationship can be addressed by sharing the mini company annual report, the KPIs, going through plan, do, check, act process, things like that. It's all common sense too. And the third one is results from the heart book. That's the connection between the mind and heart, or the brain and heart, or the nature's way, so that there's alignment of what we do. Like if you're confused in here, that affects the body. So you want to have some kind of a control. So muri muda mura also applies among other techniques and common sense, I said. So what's interesting is that those are the accumulation of common sense. Everybody can follow. But how do we package together in the organization? That's what I did first and had my career. In the meantime, I've been studying Zen and Myokonin, Shin Buddhism and so forth, and meditating. So I had the other element within myself that I was trying to live well. But I realized those two elements, one is for the organization, but one for myself, melt together. How do they melt together? Because myself is the organization, just like a top management and the mini companies, but the mini me, I call it. And they are to be working together instead of different initiative going this way and that way, creating the crossfire syndrome. But this crossfire syndrome is different initiative if we are not sorting things out. So the way to do it is like a mind and body balance, or the brain and heart balance, have a calm and steady, quiet mind. And that is the basis, in my view, for everything. So the first book and second book to approach it, because we are to make judgment, and the judgment has to be based upon calm and quiet mind. And if everybody participate in it in such a way, with understanding of not going to muri muda mura, for example, not overburdening, not creating waste, and not chaotic process, more steady heartbeat kind of a process, plan, do, check, that, or shira, samadhi, panya. So that is to be worked out. And when I tie into such idea as Charlie Munger are talking about, don't go near where you may die. That's a very smart way. It's like don't create mess so that you make a wrong judgment and wasteful thing, and not utilizing the resource well. Therefore, you may die soon, because there's a confusion in myself or in each person. So how to orchestrate, not create muri muda mura, have a balance. We need to have a perspective, know what's going on, what's the bottleneck, how to identify it and address it. I think I'm doing it like posting this YouTube with a mission of helping myself and helping others. and having fun, but practicing the Samadhi. But yet, I'm still have a hiccup here and there. So the muri mudamura, for example, the computer hiccups, or something happened to just a while ago when I was playing iPhone. I finished recording, but twice it failed to register it. Apple has lots of work to do. So I'm using different platform to record this. Third time, so I'm stupid to repeat the same mistake. But that's the part of the randomness and creating the overburdening. So we need to have a sense of, like, if this is the ship, or this is the company, or this is the individual, how everything is balanced. And there's a sign of unbalance coming up. So we have to, accept instead of fighting, and then sort things out and find a passage so that at the end, I don't suffer. You may have to reprioritize or eliminate certain things so that you have a secure sense of accomplished the mission. I think I'm doing it, and the way to do, in my view, is practicing. Like I said, I wrote those 3 books, what's in there, including the housekeeping and organization and inventory reduction and, all prioritization and balancing and connecting to the heart with the mind. So it sounds like mouthful, but each of them is basic, and we don't want to clog up our system. Maybe I'm talking too much, but I'm trying to see I'm standing on the right foundation to see the picture. And in my view, if we continue doing this Samadhi exercise, that helps us to sort things out. This is no, this is yes, this is I'll think for a while, but I have to work on this priority. So all that exercise can be done. Maybe this is too conceptual, but I feel if I put words on it, in practice, it may be much more intuitive. But with some follow-up, like using the brain to check this and that, and then you may discover some more unfortunate situation, then you have to stop, reflect. I think we do it, each individual do it. So I may be saying something redundant, but I just see a need, more discipline. And one of the basic discipline is the clarity in my mind that I have to develop, to assess the situation, prioritize, and find the bottleneck. But always have the foundation with Samadhi so that I can check how balanced this whole structure of who I am. It's not creating some pain. So in terms of the health, I can see as you get older, anything can go wrong. And my cognitive side, or my kidney, or this and that, and there's some measurement. But measurement is one, but your intuitive sense of being able to see inside of you, which may sound funny, but I think we have ability. If our mind is calm, we can tell some stiffness or certain sign of danger coming, because that's how we live from the beginning of the life. So that sense, intuitive sense, is important. And then against the logical part of it, to make sure certain principle logic is followed. I think that's the way I want me to move on further in this direction. In terms of myokonim, that's one question. I don't know how it works, but that's another angle. So what I said sounds like a lot of conceptual thing and intellectual bullshit. I think myokonim, as an example, doesn't go too much into it. Leave the brain and the mind alone. Just live with the basics and let the Amida to take over. That's fantastic. So I'm talking, again, different initiative or way of thinking and approach of life. And I want to find this balance so that I have the side of the myokonim, of feeling, and this is enough. And I work on this and have a peace. But at the same time, this is like a bodhisattva. Even if you have a peace and in nirvana or something, you want to go back to the society and work with the language they use and the way that we may be able to communicate. And I think that makes sense too. And if so, that goes back to this idea, generally speaking, of the middle way, balancing out. So it's like a seagull flying or the ship moving. Sometimes you go a little bit too much of this side and then you detect the danger or opportunity on this side and then go back to that. And because you are changing and the environment is changing, you have to keep that awareness going on and be able to make sense of all. So living long is one result, like this Charlie Munger. He lived almost 100 years old, choosing the path. I feel like sometimes, this computer thing and the interesting thing, I may get occupied. So, bottom line, to make a judgment, we have to have a calm and quiet mind. Let's have a Samadhi as the base and approach life. Question comes, sort things out, digest, make certain conclusion. We do it every now and then, multiple times in a day and every day. And I have this daily checklist and life profile kind of a check every 3 months or so. That sounds like too scientific, but since I have the brain, I do that. Like an insurance policy to see how I'm balancing. So, it's lots of mumbo jumbo perhaps, but that's what I see if I reflect myself in the mirror. And as I found last night, if you question and not prematurely judging it, but stay calm and quiet, the answer would come. Where does it come? I'd say from the heart, the nature's way, the magic of nature. That's living with me. So I don't have to consume too much, but relating to the mind and heart connection, Samadhi as a bridge to make sense of it. And in that state, peace. Everything as it is. There are storms, but storm doesn't last forever. So let's navigate our life well. Thank you for listening.